In today's video, we are going to go over the beginner's introduction to futures trading. Guys, a lot of people have been talking about futures. A lot of people are interested in getting into futures, and so let's get right into it. Please make sure to comment down below, like, and subscribe, and click the bell icon, guys. So let's get right into it, the beginner's introduction to futures trading. So what are futures? Futures are derivative financial contracts which obligate parties to purchase or sell an asset at a predetermined future price. The buyer must purchase or the seller must sell the underlying asset at the set price, irrespective of the current market price at expiration date. Underlying assets include physical commodities and financial instruments. Futures contracts detail the quantity of the underlying asset and are standardized to trade on a futures exchange like the commodities, the Chicago Mercantile Exchange and the Chicago Board of Trade. Futures can be used for hedging or speculation. Guys, futures contracts originate from farmers essentially hedging their crop harvests. Futures. Traders use the term futures to refer to an overall asset class. There are many varieties of futures contracts that you can trade, including crude oil, natural gas, corn, wheat, and gold. The largest and the most liquid, as in they have the most money moving through them, the largest futures markets are the indices, the Dow, the Russell, the NASDAQ, and the S&P 500. There are also currency futures like the Euro futures, the Pound futures, and the Yen futures. There are also metals futures like gold, silver, copper, and platinum. In addition, there are bond futures, guys, on the U.S. 30-year treasuries, the 10 years, the 5 years, and the 2-year notes. While there are many different futures assets you can trade, the ones I focus on and on what most sort of amateur or semi-professional day traders focus on outside of crude oil, a lot of people only trade crude oil, are the index futures and micro index futures, which have the following symbols and point values. The ES is $50 a point or $12.50 a tick. What is a tick? A tick is the smallest fluctuation that a contract can fluctuate. The micro size of the ES, or the 1/10th product of the ES, is $5 a point or $1.25 a tick. The NASDAQ is $20 a point or $5 a tick. The micro NASDAQ is $2 a point or 50 cents a tick. The Russell 2000 futures are $50 a point, or that should say $5 a tick. And the micro Russell is $5 a point or 50 cents a tick. And then, guys, the Dow is $5 a point, and the micro Dow is 50 cents a point. What are some of the differences between stocks and futures? So stocks, many of you are going to come from trading stocks or trading options or sort of classic investments if you're not familiar with futures or you're brand new to futures, which I'm glad you're here, guys. Stocks represent, and they are, equity ownership in publicly traded companies. Futures are not ownership in publicly traded companies. You don't own a company when you're trading a futures contract in the same way when you're buying and selling stocks. Futures do not have earnings. Again, they are not companies. Futures contracts do not represent ownership in companies. Additionally, futures contracts are treated in the United States as Section 1256 contracts under mark-to-market at the end of the year and have different tax consequences than stock ownership. Okay, the 60-40 split between long-term and short-term capital gains. The futures indexes, the indices, are generally less volatile than individual stocks or options, but you do have access to a lot more leverage outside of options, guys. Options are probably the most leveraged regulated financial product which you can get a hold of. The difference between futures and options. So whereas options have Greeks like delta, theta, vega, and gamma, Futures do not have these things. There is volatility and implied volatility and some similarities between futures and options, but they're pretty different. Options are generally more volatile than futures, as options have theta decay or time decay, which futures do not. And then futures are generally traded much more based on charts or level 2 data, or they're indicators with which you can trade futures. But that suite of tools is largely different from when you're trading options, if you're coming from options. What are some ways in which you can get into trading futures, guys? Well, the first way is if you're in the United States, or I believe a lot of these companies offer services in Canada as well, or Europe. There are interactive brokers, TD Ameritrade, which is recently merged with Charles Schwab. There's E-Trade. There's the brokerage which I use, which is called TradeStation, and then there's AMP Futures, guys. So these are regulated futures trading brokers, which are regulated by the National Futures Association and the Commodities Futures Trading Commission, the CFTC, and FINRA, the Financial Institution National Regulation Agency, something like that. So these are your U.S. regulated brokers where you can traditionally go in and you can wire money or deposit funds and trade your own funds. Now, guys, recently there's been a big hype and sort of a lot of market interest. A lot of people, especially people getting into trading, are using the prop firm route instead of trading their own cash. And here are some examples of prop firms which offer services. This is not an extensive list, but there's Apex Trader Funding, Topstep Trader Funding, The Trading Pit, Trade Day, and FTMO. Guys, so a lot of people are, instead of, again, going on a regulated broker and trading their own cash, they're going for the prop firm route. And if you're interested in going with the prop firm route, these are some of the companies which offer prop firm services. Okay, guys, in this video, we went over a brief beginner's guide to what are futures, what are some of the differences between futures, stocks, and options. I went over the U.S. regulated brokers and some prop firm options if you're interested in that route. So guys, please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. I have a lot of people asking me to make videos on futures, and so we've been making videos on futures. If you're interested in more content like this, guys, I urge you to like, comment, and subscribe, and I look forward to seeing you in the future. Thank you. And I hope that you have a great rest of your day.